Hello everybody, how are you? Welcome to American Defender. Today we are going to once again explore this very fine pistol in front of you. This is the Llama Gabilando Esia Vittoria. Yes, I have in fact in the last 3 or 4 days become completely fluent in Espanol just because I own this revolver now. It's a fact, okay? So, you know, mi llamas tu llama. Alright, so, there we go. If you guys want to know what that means, is it in English, basically it translates to name. It's to summon or to call. Alright, so, when you see this, a lot of folks will advertise these as a Llama Gabilando Esia Vittoria. Alright, and you want to break this down right here into English. Gabilando, that's the gentleman that started this company in 1904's last name, in the city of Vitoria, Spain. Alright, that's what that means. Or really it should be Gabilando of the city of Vitoria, Spain. Alright. And then it's Llama. Alright, that is the name of it. And for all of you Police Academy fans out there, I'm only going to do this once for you. Llama, 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 Llama. Alright, I have to get that out of there. Yamaha. Alright, so you've got Super Comanche 44 marked right here. A bunch of folks wanted me to do like an up-close kind of video on this revolver. And, you know, fine. I'm okay with that. Alright, I think that's an important thing to do because there's not enough videos on this wonderful little, well, it's not that little, but wonderful revolver. Alright, so we're going to look over marks. We're going to geek out a little bit on it, alright? So, again, we've kind of gone over all that. You even got the quotation marks in there. Look at that. Alright. So you got all that. This little guy right here is actually not a proof mark, alright? This, however, is a Spanish proof mark. The little bomb, that is a proof mark. Under this tape right here would be my serial number. Right here is your date code. Alright, so this one's a 1982. This right here is your importer mark. So this was imported by Stoger Industries, South Hackensack, New Jersey. Made in Spain. Alright. And then we run over here, and you've got your Llama trademark with the hand holding the torch. Alright. Same thing there on the little crest on the grip. We're going to look up real close at the grips here. This is some Spanish walnut. Alright. Look at the back strap and everything here for you so you guys can look at it. There's been so many times I've been on videos and I've been trying to find how something's arranged on a gun or something, and the person goes over every part other than the one that I'm looking for. So I'm trying to get everything in there where screws go and, you know, give you an idea of what's going on in here. Alright. So there's your rear sight. That did get changed in 1983. Here's the back of your grip. Flip it on over here. So there's your left-hand grip. Also has that little crest in there. Screw goes right there, and that's what it looks like. All right. There is your cylinder release right there. This is actually a nut, by the way. That's not a screw. It's a nut. There's a stud that comes up on this. So that's a nut. There's your cylinder stop right there. All right. And in my last video I said it looked like it was just machined into it, but you can kind of tell now looking at that. That's a screw. Kind of like a Smith & Wesson would be. It's a screw with half the head cut off. Alright. So, and then there's another screw right there. That kind of catches your lock plate, because your lock plate starts right here. Or, excuse me, your side plate. It starts right here. You can kind of see the line for it right there. Alright, and right there. So all of that will right off the side. Alright. Kind of moving forward. There's your little knurled nut that goes on the end of your extractor. There's your crane from the side. There's another one of those proof marks right there. little bomb. You'll have one on the frame, you'll have one on the barrel, and there is one, if I get on here, right there, okay, on your cylinder. Alright, so every single one of these firearms from this company, before they would leave, they would proof them, every single one of them, okay. They would all get proofed, and they don't get that mark until they've been proofed. Alright, and if you understand proofing, that means this thing being chambered in 44 Magnum had one hell of a spicy 44 Magnum go through it before it left the factory. So our standard stuff is no problem for it. Alright, so there's your vent rib we're looking at right now. Alright, your front sight, which is all part of it. And there is your crown, what it's supposed to look at. I don't have my crown gauges out here. I would measure that. Okay. Kind of look at it from the bottom here as well. All right. There's not a lot to see here. All right. So we'll just cruise right through that, end to end. All right. Kind of look up in there in the trigger housing area. For those of you that want to see up in there what's going on. So there's your trigger, smooth face. It's got that kind of like Colt Anaconda trigger going, as is with the vent rib here. There's your front sight.
Hey everybody, I kept saying front sight right here.
They changed it.
So I meant to say rear sight. It was early in the morning when I did this, but either way, all I'm trying to tell you about is the fact that this is the old style rear sight. And in '83, they had changed over to the new style rear sight.
First through the camera, but looking down at it right now, that is actually milled into it. There's your adjustment for your elevation, and this is your adjustment for your windage. We'll go ahead and pop it open here. Let you look inside of here. All right. There's your firing pin. Now, normally you're not supposed to be able to cock this thing back with the cylinder open. As you can see, I can't here. But if you did want to, all you got to do is pull back on this, and then you can, and there is what your hand is supposed to look like. I know that's an important piece for people to see. Okay. Try to get that in there the best. Let's go from the other side too, because you might be trying to fit one of these, and you might need to know what it looks like. Now, mind you, that does have some wear on it, but that's what they look like. Okay. And then there's your pawl down there in the bottom. Okay. So we'll go ahead and release that. Solid lockup. Oh, also, center pin. You do have a center pin on this, okay, right here. I talked about that last time, that this little guy likes to pop out, because what happens on these, the back side of this ejector right here is threaded. It's actually threaded all the way down to about where my finger is, okay. It doesn't need to be threaded that far, but it is. And so this ejector rod runs through here, threads into the back of this, and then inside here, this is actually a tube, okay. Inside of here is this pin. This is the thick end of the pin sticking out right here. The thin end is in there, and then there's a spring exactly like this one in there. All right, now I got this spring at Ace Hardware. It's the smallest compression spring they have. It's $1.19. The reason I went that route is because online none of the parts houses have the factory spring for this, so I went with that one. Okay, it's a little longer than the factory spring. The factory spring's about 1 inch long, and this one's a little longer than 1 inch. I think it's 1.125 or inch, something like that, which is okay. It's a fairly stiff spring. It does the job. You know, you can still push in on this, but it's got enough tension on it that the recoil and stuff isn't going to make this open up. This is also part of your lockup too, for your latch right there. So I'll push here and you'll notice that this little guy's moving as well, and then it kind of comes up into here, and it locks up into the frame right up in there. All right, whoop. Right up in there, it locks up into that frame, right into that divot. So we're locked up in here, we're locked up right there, and then there's also a lock mechanism down inside the frame there, which locks all of that up. Okay, so either way, what I was saying though is what'll happen with these is these threads will pop out, this will go shooting out. It's easily avoided. You can take, if you have one that's in good condition, this stuff isn't missing, you just take this all apart, and then the threads on the end of this rod right here that go in to this tube, just put a little blue Loctite on there. I use number 42 to get this cylinder out. Just like a Smith & Wesson, you remove your crane screw, which is right here, and you can get replacement crane screws, by the way. They sell those in Numeric. All right, they're like $8, I think, something like that. But you remove that, this pulls out. All right, your whole crane will pull out. I will warn you that on the end of this, maybe I should get my screwdriver and show you. All right, let me show you real quick here. Okay, all right, let's see if I can get this screw out. I put some blue Loctite on it, so let's see if I can get it here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Nope, I can't. All right, I'm not going to screw the screw up for that. So either way, there's blue Loctite on there now. But inside here, there's a plunger with a spring and an itty bitty little roll pin that goes on the end of your crane. Okay, don't lose that stuff. Yeah, it should be captured, but when you take yours apart, if that whole system just kind of pukes, that means that little pin is probably gone, which means it probably ripped out the end of the crane right there. It shouldn't, but I just wanted to let you know what to expect going in there. Okay, there's a plunger, a big spring, and a little tiny roll pin. All right, itty bitty little roll pin. I think it's less than a 1/16 of an inch. It's tiny. Okay, but that's holding the plunger system and everything in here. That when you go to open this, that actuates that guy. Okay, but what you'll do is you'll take all that out. This will just slide out. It should come out in one piece. This will come out. This little nut right here on the end comes off. All right, you see me unthreading it? I'll just go ahead and unthread it. All right, so it just comes off. All right, and then what you do from there is this will just all slide right off at that point in time. You put you some brass in here. Don't use live cartridges. Put you some brass in there. Grab this with some soft jaw pliers, or put some tape on it, or some leather, or I've even seen people use Scotch-Brite pads or a cloth, whatever. And this is righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay, for those of you that are new to this kind of stuff. All right, and just unthread it like you normally would. And when you do, there's a big spring that runs down the middle. All right, it's kind of weak, but there's a big spring that runs down the middle of that. There's also this spring sitting behind this pin. All right, so you've got two springs to deal with. So when you go to do this, you have your cartridges in here. Keep this flat in your hand or on the bottom of a table or whatever when you finally go to release this, and release it slowly as you're lifting up. All right, because it's going to want to push and come out on you. All right. And then just put some Loctite on it, some number 42 blue Loctite, and you'll never happen again. All right, as you can see there, I tried taking that out and I couldn't with the blue Loctite, so I may have to apply heat to that if I ever have to take it out again, which is okay because I don't ever really get inside. There's really no reason other than for repairs to get inside there. Okay, there's nothing really in there that you need to clean or really lubricate. And if you did need to lubricate it in there, you can actually get to it right through here. All right, and just shoot a little lube down in that little slot, right down in there. And also right up, there's another little slot, I can't see it, right behind it there. You can just shoot a little lube down in there that way, and that will give you what you need. Okay. You can kind of see another one of those little teeny tiny little roll pins, two itty bitty little suckers. They're not even a 1/16 of an inch. They're smaller than that. All right, they're teeny tiny little guys. All right. So yeah, just throw some Loctite on that, and that'll never be a problem again. These center pins typically don't really wear out. All right, you lose them is what ends up happening, and that's what happened on this one. As you can tell here, someone decided to go after this crane with a hammer, and I'm willing to bet what happened here is this popped out, which also you can see, which is evident by the face of it, by how flat it is and beat up it is, of that nut. The pin popped out, locked in the frame. This was forward. They couldn't get the cylinder open. This wasn't really doing much of anything. And so they had the brilliant idea of whacking the crane with a hammer to knock it open. Never do that. You can use a piece of, well, you can just use like a feeler gauge, a small feeler gauge, and kind of worm it down in here while you're pressing forward on this guy. And get it down in there and get a feeler gauge down under in here and pop this open. I mean, I know sometimes there's a time where you've got to give it a sharp rap up against the cylinder here. If you do that, be very careful. Put some tape on it here, you know, something to cover it up, piece of leather or something, and use a soft hammer. Don't use anything metal. Use something plastic, use something rubber. Don't use brass, don't use metal, don't use aluminum. Use, you know, something that's going to absorb that and not mar up the finish or cause, you know, stuff like that to happen, where you start, you know, misforming the steel. All right, so I did get in here by hand and kind of finish that back off, and I tried to remove some of the gouges. You can still see one real deep one right there, but yeah, she's all locked up now and ready to go. Again, lock up on these things is like a bank vault. I mean, that sucker ain't moving anywhere. So there's your up close look at it. I also wanted to get in to show you the way the transfer system works on here, because it's not really a transfer system. There's your firing pin and everything down in there. Okay, so the firing pin on the top. Down below there is your cylinder lock release. All right, so if I was to push this forward, you can kind of see it moving. Okay, so that's down in there. But what this has is a cam system in here, and again, if you look at where the hammer is sitting now, I'll cock this back and then I'll act like I'm firing. See how it drops down? It barely catches that firing pin. It just kind of catches it with the bottom of the snout of the hammer, and then when you go ahead and let go, it rises that hammer back up. All right, and you can kind of see, if we look at this dead on, where it's catching that pin right there on the snout. Come on, camera. Right there on the edge. And if you look in here, you can kind of see the motion where it catches it and how it rises up over it. You can see how all that works. Okay, and from this end it would look like this. Alright. So while you're carrying it, that's actually resting on the frame, and the firing pin tucks into this little channel right here. Alright. So, kind of an interesting system. Alright, kind of an interesting system. So hopefully this gives you your closer look. This helps somebody out with one of these revolvers. If you guys would like me to get inside the side plate, which I'm not going to do today, let me know down below. If I get enough people that say, yeah, I'd like to see inside there, see what's going on, what makes it tick, let me know and I'll do this again. We'll just go into the side plate on it. I do have a exploded view of this, I think, still on my phone here, and if I do, it'll follow this video so you guys can at least see how this thing looks from an exploded view. It also has a partial list of the parts. You can find that whole exploded view on eBay. The gentleman wants $3 for it. I'll probably end up buying it just so I have it. But I took a screenshot of his ad because he put the exploded view up, and that's all I really needed to know is the orientation of things. So I'll put that up here so there's something out there available for these revolvers, so folks can at least look at it and go, okay, this goes here, that goes there. You know, maybe I'm missing this piece here. So you get an idea of what's going on. So either way, guys, there you go. That is the Llama Super Commander, or Super Comanche, excuse me, 44 Magnum. Wonderful, wonderful, well-made revolvers. Hard to find, and the value on them just keeps going up, 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 up. All right, so thank you for watching. God bless you. Take a kid fishing. Take a kid shooting. God bless America. And hey, I'll see y'all on the flip. Bye now.
Alright guys, so this is just the end here. Here is your exploded view that I was talking about. Up next here, I went ahead and took the side plate off. And here you go. Here's the side plate. Here's how everything looks all put together. Beware that the hand has a spring that it attaches to that goes inside the trigger. It's a pain in the butt, and there's a little 1mm detent on the lock bar that you see there, a 90-degree bar. Thanks for watching.